Hello, I'm Anna. I'm a digital fantasy artist, and today I'll be talking about a really important topic that it's self-doubt as an artist and how we can overcome the fear of failure in art. I feel like as artists, we have so much pressure around our work and what we're supposed to be putting out. And self-doubt is something that honestly we all have in all areas of our lives. But as artists, I feel like we have so much more, especially because of the imposter syndrome. So it's really hard for us to not talk about it. So I really wanted to make a video opening the discussion around self-doubt and overcoming this fear of failure. I feel like the first thing we need to ask ourselves is, why are we afraid in the first place? Because I guess when we start having self-doubt, we just get so in our head and we're like, but if I don't paint in a realistic way, the world is going to explode and everything is going to go wrong in my life. And I feel like we really need to just sit down, take a deep breath, and actually think, like, why are we so afraid of making mistakes and painting bad art, And I feel like the answer to this would be that art is really hard in itself. Like, learning art takes years. It's not like something you can just make like a small course and just get out of it painting like a pro. Like, it's not something you can sit down and study. Art takes years to learn. So I feel like this is the first point that makes us really afraid of starting and really afraid of art in general. It's because there are so many things to it. We are learning how the world works and looks, and we are trying to recreate it in our own voice. So this is really, really hard. And obviously, I feel like social media plays a huge role in our social anxiety for art, because we are always looking around and seeing these great paintings of people who have painted for so long, like their whole life they've been painting, and we have no idea how long the process took them. We just look at the results and we're like, oh my god, everyone is so much better than me, and we just get more and more afraid of failing. But honestly, I feel like a point that we really need to press here in this video is that many of our self-doubts, they are literally only in our head, and we kind of become our own worst enemy. Since art is so hard to learn, we always just sit down and we're like, okay, I'm going to start painting. But then you have this little voice in your head that is telling you that you're not good enough, that you're never going to paint like the biggest artist, and you are not going to be able to make a sketch. And this kind of voice starts growing in your head, and you are not even able to draw a stickman because you're telling yourself that you can't do it. So I feel like we really need to just understand that we have a little voice in our head that brings us down, and we need to not quiet it, but we need to talk with it and be like, why are you so afraid? Why are you not letting me make mistakes? Why are you not letting me have fun while I'm drawing? Why does it always have to be so perfect? And sometimes we don't even know that it's only in our head. We think that people around us are judging us, or that people on Instagram are going to think our art looks bad. And in the reality is that it's only us. We are the ones telling ourselves that we are not good enough. So you need to kind of separate, why are you afraid? Like, who is making you afraid? Not only that, but I feel like people get paralyzed. Like, sometimes we are so afraid of just painting, and we have such a huge fear of failing that we can't start. So you quit art, you just leave your sketchbook on the table, and you don't even want to look at anything that reminds you of art, because it just gives you so much fear, because you feel like nothing that you do is good and nothing you ever do in your whole life is good. So I feel like people really need to understand that even starting, like just sitting down and making bad art, can already be such an obstacle for us. And as artists, we tend to have this addiction towards perfectionism, and I hate that because we just look around at every single person's artwork and we're like, oh my god, it's so perfect, and we keep expecting so much from ourselves. Like, we keep expecting that every single time we're going to sit down and just crack out the best painting we've ever done in our whole life. So we really need to let go of the addiction to perfectionism, because it just makes the voice in our head talk louder to us, and it doesn't really bring any joy in the process of making art, because you just want it to be perfect all the time, and you don't have the compassion towards yourself to be okay with making mistakes. You're like this really strict parent that doesn't let the kid make any mistakes. It's basically you in your head, and I feel like that's one of the biggest things that self-doubt can create, is just this focus on constant perfection. But right now I just wanted to start talking about how we can handle this, like how can we actually overcome the fear of failing and our self-doubt. And the first tip that I have for you is to name your fears. Like, I feel like sometimes you just always run away from fears, but like, if you are really afraid of making bad art or failing, just write all your fears down on a piece of paper and really read and have kind of a conversation with yourself. Try to understand, what are you so afraid of? What is going to happen if you make a bad painting? Like, why are you thinking that the world, like feeling like the world is going to end if you make one mistake? Like, I feel like being able to name your fears and actually kind of getting to know them and trying to understand why you feel so sad and kind of closeted around the fact that your art needs to be perfect is such a great way to kind of ease yourself into the process of making art. Because if you're just afraid and you never like sit with the feeling and try to understand it, it's always going to seem like such a big monster. And sometimes you just need a hug, you know. You just need to understand that the world is not going to end if you make one bad painting. My second tip, and it kind of like goes with the naming your fears, is being kind to yourself. Because once you understand why you're so afraid, you need to be able to like have compassion towards yourself, have empathy, and try to change the little voice in your head that says that you're not good enough. Try to start talking as if you're talking to someone else. Like, this sometimes really helps me. Like, whenever I'm making a painting where I feel like it's not good enough and I get really frustrated, I will just like take a moment and I'll be like, it's okay, you're trying your best, let's maybe take a break, or let's try something different, or let me just spend time painting something else and then come back to this. Like, the way you talk to yourself is really important, because if you already get so frustrated at yourself for making a mistake, you're never going to continue with art. So you really need to understand that being kind to yourself is not just, I don't know, a post on Instagram saying be kind to yourself. No, it's actually like a lifestyle. It's the way you are going to act, is being kind to yourself, letting yourself make mistakes, and just really telling yourself that it's okay to make them. And my third tip is to just sit down and do it. I have a video, I'm going to leave it here on the link below, about consistency and how to be consistent in art, so you should check that out. But basically, the first most important step is just being able to sit down and do whatever work you have within yourself to do. Like, even if it's the worst work ever, like it's literally just a stick man and it looks awful, do it. Anything is better than just stopping. You're not going to get anywhere in art if you just stop. So even if you are afraid, like sometimes I have this really good idea, but I'm like, I don't have enough skills to paint like that, so I'm not going to do it. So I'm just afraid of failure. I'm afraid of trying a good idea and failing. but don't let that stop you. If you have a good idea and you think you don't have enough skills for it, just put it down on paper, okay? Like, eventually, when the years pass by, you might come back to that idea, and already having a painting is going to help you be even better. So just sit down and do it. And if you're afraid, do it afraid. My fourth tip kind of goes with my fifth tip, so I'm just going to talk with both of them together. The fourth tip is learning how to take criticism in a healthy way. Like, I feel like after you are able to just sit down and do it, you're going to make really bad art. So you are going to need help. And even if you just go into like YouTube and check some tutorials, you're going to have to be able to take criticism, even if it's only from yourself. And again, we fall back into the not being a bad person to yourself. Like, if you watch a YouTube video of a tutorial and you try to replicate it and it doesn't look like the tutorial, don't just bash out yourself, be like, oh my god, you are so bad, you can't even follow a tutorial. Don't do that. Be happy that you tried, but be able to look at your art and criticize it and say, oh, I could have done this better. And what will you do to learn that? Take action after finding the mistakes you made and the things you think could look better. Go and try to make them better. Like, make a focused study on the subject that you think you didn't paint well, or watch more tutorials and try again. One thing about art is repetition. Like, honestly, if you just stick through it, you will get better eventually. So yeah, but it's really important to take criticism, and with that, to be able to ask the opinion of others, like have a good art community, be it here on YouTube, be in Instagram, have a community where you feel safe to ask the opinions of others and watch tutorials, try it on your own 1,000 times, take classes, mentorships. If you struggle with consistency, it would be good to get a mentorship, because the person is going to be beside you, like telling you to paint, and you will slowly get better, And once this like really bad self-doubt in your head when you start to be kind to yourself, the self-doubt kind of vanishes. And once you start to be kind to yourself and you work on painting better paintings, your self-doubt is going to completely disappear, because you're going to improve and you're going to be kinder to yourself, So that's basically the answer of this video. And the fifth tip is just for you to fall in love with your process and not the result. If you love painting and learning things, you're never going to feel bad if you paint something bad. Because what really matters to you is the process of learning and trying new things. So that's the most important thing. Fall in love with the process, not the result. Now we're already heading towards the end of the video. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video was helpful and that it inspires you to keep going as an artist. Art is really hard, and we should be here to support each other through our art journeys. And if you like my video, please subscribe and leave a like. It would really help me. I just started YouTube, so I would be so grateful. And remember that if you have any doubts or if you have any video suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I answer every single comment, and I am so grateful for all of you. And this is the final painting. I really hope you guys liked it. Please tell me what you think about it. I think the only mistake that I made is that I should have spent more time rendering her clothing, because I still feel like there's something missing there. I just wanted to remind you all that my commissions are open. I have the link on the artistry, and this would be a priced commission of $160. And feel free to message me below. I would love to paint your characters. And that's it, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.